For this photo session, we're going to do some light painting in a really fun and creative way, and that's with amusement park rides. I'm coming to you from Knoebels Amusement Resort, and the sun's currently going down, so we're going to walk around to find some rides that have some great lighting packages and see what kind of unique and creative shots we can get using slow shutter speeds. I'm also going to teach you how to take these shots as well. So if you're ready, grab your camera and let's capture some moments. Now for this photo session, I'm using my Nikon D5600 on full manual mode, so I have complete control over the settings. I'm also shooting with my Nikon 18-140 lens, so I can control the focal length, either wide or zoomed in. As we're waiting for the sun to go down further, I do want to talk a little bit about how you could take these photos for yourself. It's actually quite easy. All you need are just a few things. Most importantly, you do need a camera. And unfortunately, it is necessary to capture these shots. So whether you have a traditional camera like this or a smartphone with manual or pro capabilities, you could achieve the same effects I'm going to be doing in this tutorial or this photo session. So whether you're using this or your smartphone, you want to have your manual mode set so that you could go in and control the shutter speed. You can do it on shutter priority. I prefer to do manual mode. That way I have full control over all the settings. And what you want to do is drop your shutter speed down to a low enough speed that it shows motion blur, specifically the rides or the lights moving in action. In order to achieve a crisp, clear photo though, you are going to need a flat surface or preferably a tripod. That way there's no movement. You can't do these shots handheld doing a slow shutter speed. Lastly, you're going to want either a remote shutter release or to use your onboard timer, because if you try to do this by pressing the shutter button on your camera or on your phone, it can introduce the motion blur just from simply touching it. If you use the remote shutter release, you don't have to touch the camera, or if you use your timer, there'll be enough delay for the camera or phone to not move after touching the shutter button. If you do that and experiment with different shutter speeds, you should be able to achieve some really cool and one-of-a-kind shots. First ride I'm going to try to photograph here is the paratrooper. Now, it's not completely dark yet. Still got about half hour to 45 minutes until the sun goes down completely. So in order to combat that, what I need to do is on my camera have the ISO down to 100, that's the lowest. I'm going to increase my f-stop, the aperture, up to the highest, which is f22. That's going to allow me to drop down the shutter speed to a couple of seconds. And hopefully we'll get some blurriness of the lights in motion. At the same time, hopefully not overexpose the photo. So once the ride does go up in the air, I'm going to try to do a 2 or 3 second photo. And if need be, I will readjust and see if we get a more correct result. Okay, the ride's going up. Once it reaches the maximum height, I'm going to set my focus and we're going to do some test shots. I do have focus locked. I'm going to try and do a 2 second photo here. Oh, it's actually a really cool effect. Well, now I'm going to bring the shutter speed down to 1.5 seconds here. Really, really cool. I'm at a different position here now. We're going to try the same shots now, 1.5 seconds. I'm going to bring it down to 2 seconds. All right, overall usable images, but it will look even better once the sky's darker. That's a 6 second exposure right there. I'm going to do a shorter one down to 2 seconds. So with the different shutter speeds, we got different effects. The faster shutter speed gave us a more exposed photo, less light painting, where the opposite with the longer shutter speed, we got more light painting, but an almost overexposed photo. So not the optimal conditions, given that it's not dark out yet. I'm gonna give the paratrooper another go here. Go a little wider. I'm gonna do 4 seconds. F-stop's at 25, ISO 100. Looks pretty good. Here at the Galleon pirate ship. 2.5 second exposure. We'll try 1.5 seconds here. All right. Looks like the optimal shutter speed there is around 2 seconds. Aperture of 18, ISO 100. Now this next ride is probably my personal favorite as far as lighting packages and movement. There's tons of lights on it, and when it's up in the air spinning around, it articulates on its axis. Under optimal conditions, I could get some really amazing photos. We'll see what we could do given the circumstances here. It is blue hour, so the sky is a nice bluish hue. We just want to get some cool exposures and shutter speeds here. Currently on a 3 second shutter speed here. Aperture is 20, ISO 100. I'm going to go for a 6 second shutter speed here. All right, so I did a couple different shutter speeds there, got a few different effects. The longer shutter speed didn't create the look I was going for just because the conditions aren't optimal. But around a 2.5 second shutter speed seemed to be pretty ideal for what we got. Right here we're gonna go for a combination effect. We have power surge rising in front of us, the balloon race on the right spinning, and the giant Ferris wheel in the distance. Ideally, I'd like to get all three of them in motion. But if I get 2 out of 3, I'll be happy with that. Start off with a 2 second shutter. Oh, wow. That is a phenomenal photo. If I could get the Ferris wheel going, there we go. Excellent. I'm gonna go a 3 second shutter. Even better. I'm not going to focus primarily on the Ferris wheel. I have a 2 second shutter, f14, aperture, 100 ISO. Producing such cool effects here. Now you don't want to go too long with the shutter speed because then it's just going to be one big blur of color. If you find the right shutter speed, it'll make a really striking image. Ooh, that one really pretty. That was on a 1.6 shutter speed. Just to demonstrate, if I go to 4 seconds here, actually 5 seconds, we'll try that. There we went with the longer shutter speed of 5 seconds. And I see a drone in the air. All right, this is going to be prime time right here. We got all the rides in motion. more rides in motion. Let's see what happens with this. If the Ferris wheel starts moving again. All right, let's try, that was 2.5 seconds. Let's try 4 seconds. I'm gonna do a little faster one, do 1.3. All right, so you can see the striking difference between a faster and slower shutter speed. Both have their own unique look, but again, it's up to your creativity as to what look you're going for. It is a hot, humid night here. So that was light painting using amusement park rides. A really fun, unique, creative way to get some one-of-a-kind shots and to really impress your friends and family, or even yourself. Again, you don't need a camera like this to do this. You can do it with a smartphone or any camera that has manual controls, specifically over the shutter speed. Now, ideally, I would want blue hour and later. So I say blue hour, that's the hour within when the sun sets and it gets pitch black. It's a blue hue, which we see in these photos. I'd want that or pitch black as the sky to be able to introduce really long shutter speeds for some really creative shots. I'm going to show you a couple example shots of a carnival I went to get some practice prior to doing this, where the sky was blue and black and I was able to get longer shutter speeds. And that's what the look I was going for. But here, the park closes at 9 and we're midst of summer, so the sun sets later and you don't get the optimal conditions. So I think we did pretty good with what we had to work with. And basically, in order to combat the brightness in the sky, I just increased the aperture, which closes down that eye, ISO to lowest, and then just play with the shutter speed. That allowed me to get the light painting using the lights of the rides. Feel free to comment down below and tell me what your favorite ride was that we captured, and if you like the slower or faster of the two shutter speeds when I capture those in motion. But I'd love for you to get out and capture your own shots in your own world, to get creative, and experiment, and just have fun. And until next time, I'll see you behind the camera real soon. Thanks for watching.